Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new here. My name is Isra. From numbness to full pleasure, for many women growing up, they are exposed to this idea, especially in cultures and societies where they're very conservative, or growing up in a religious family. It's seen as being in one's pleasure as a sinful thing, as a bad thing. And there's this accumulation of shame that comes along with it. Growing up, the belief that being sexual is connected to being a slut or as something as being a bad girl. And so many women, in order to be accepted and loved, they follow this good girl kind of archetype. And by the time they're ready to get married and to have a sexual interaction with a man, that accumulation of shame does not allow for them to fully feel that pleasure. And over time, and this is a generalization, not true for all women, it creates a wall between herself and the man because she cannot feel the pleasure. And for over 80% of women, they are not able to actually orgasm through penetration only. And from the side of the man, they don't understand the anatomy or the difference between a man and a woman. And so they penetrate right away instead of focusing on the foreplay, because that's the real way to arouse a woman and to get her into a place of orgasm, if that is the aim. Through Tantra, the tantric practices, and Tantra is a general word for a way of life, and part of it is delving into the pleasures of life. And that is through sex, through sexual interaction with another. And taking one's time in this sexual interaction and not focusing on the aim of being orgasm, instead focusing on being present in the body and from that presence gaining that deep pleasure. When we let go of this goal-oriented kind of pleasure, the pressure is then alleviated, and then there is this sense of being more in the body. Instead of focusing and over-analyzing or overthinking, am I going to reach orgasm? Am I going to be seen as good enough? Am I going to be seen as someone who is in her pleasure? Same with men. They might have this sort of performance anxiety. And so it's very important just to be present in the body. And this is easier said than done for sure. And this is why it's important to practice this on your own. So, in addition to this, sexual abuse can disconnect a woman from her pleasure and her desire, creating numbness, being penetrated prematurely before she is ready to be penetrated, before she is fully aroused and dripping with nectar, with love of arousal, will create armor around the yoni space, around the flower. And yoni is a Sanskrit word for the vagina. Vagina is not my favorite word because it means sheath of a sword. So I use the word yoni because it's more what I resonate with. So choose what resonates with you when it comes to describing one's yoni. And another thing is that women don't look at their yoni in the mirror, and this is very important, in order to connect to her, to connect to your own pleasure. And if there is shame with how your yoni looks like, also creating a practice of just accepting and loving yourself as you are, and not comparing your body, yourself, to anyone else, knowing that your uniqueness is so precious and so beautiful. So how does a woman move from a place of numbness to pleasure, from pain, possibly from intercourse to pleasure? And there's so many different ways, and I will share what I have observed is beneficial. Number one is creating a self-pleasure practice for yourself and noticing if there's shame that comes up. And if there is shame that comes up, rewiring your mind by when that tightness or that shame comes up or that tension comes up within your body, noticing it, breathing through it, and seeing if you can soften, if you can shift out of that sort of mentality of this is bad, or this is shameful, or this is disgusting, or I'm doing something wrong, especially growing up in a religious kind of environment. These voices can come up and they are internalized within the body. And so instead say, no, it is my birthright to be in pleasure. It is my birthright and it is safe for me to be in pleasure. And I welcome this pleasure. And this might take time. No matter what, just know that it is worth it. By the time you get to that place of pleasure, you will realize that there was just so many layers that needed to be cleared, that needed to be repeated in order for you to reclaim your pleasure. For a woman, in her sexual pleasure is an unstoppable force. For a woman to be in her wild woman archetype is what the world needs right now. When a woman is connected to her wild woman archetype, when she's connected to her sensuality, her sexuality, then it allows for that feminine energy, the divine feminine energy to flow through. And this will then open up a man's heart by doing so, or whichever gender of a partner that you connect with. So it's very important when we are open-hearted, soft heart, and we speak our truth, because there is a connection between the throat chakra as well as the sacral chakra, which is your center of sensuality and sexuality, emotions and creativity, and your inner waters, your intuition as well. This then will allow for the yoni to open up, to soften, instead of to tighten, and to actually feel pleasure. And to resensitize the area is very important. And this brings me to the next point for self-pleasure: to use an obsidian wand, an amethyst wand, a rose quartz wand. I'll place a link to an obsidian wand that you can order. This one specifically for Canada. For other countries, you can maybe look online to see where you can find a reputable kind of source. The one I got actually had Reiki infused within it, which was a beautiful energy to receive as well. And obsidian specifically is great for removing negative energy, for removing trauma from the yoni space. And using this wand is not only for the aim of orgasm, it is for the aim of resensitizing the area. And there's something called dearmoring, removing the armor around the yoni space. Armor that could have been developed due to premature penetration. And this then creates numbness over time and a lack of sensation. And so using a wand and taking deep breaths in and taking your time with this will allow to resensitize the area. And having patience with yourself going through this process. It's not an overnight thing, that's for sure. For some, it might take weeks, years, however long it may be. Have patience with yourself. And this is developing greater self-love, greater self-compassion through this practice. Number one, rewiring your mind, shifting from a state or mentality of shame to a mentality of welcoming and receiving greater pleasure, knowing that you are so deserving of it, and welcoming a new frequency or understanding of what pleasure is, away and like dissolving what you know of what sexual interaction is, and welcoming a new greater level of sexual or sensuality or pleasure into your life. Number two, dearmoring practice using an obsidian wand. There's also yoni eggs that you can use. Number three is developing a practice of self-massage, not only focusing on the yoni. There's something called abhyanga, which is a full body oil massage, self-massage for yourself. So you put some maybe almond oil, coconut oil, and you just massage your whole body. And this brings a state of relaxation to your nervous system, a sense of safety within your body, which is essential when it comes to pleasure, when it comes to being able to feel greater pleasure, because it's connected to the root energy, the root chakra. And this is when you feel safe within your body, then you're able to feel greater pleasure. See how you can create a greater trust in life. Saying, I trust life, I welcome greater trust. And if there is this resistance, try to trace back where this resistance comes from. And sometimes asking from a spiritual teacher or from energy healer to help you in shifting this energy can be really beneficial, because this might be a very big energy, especially if you are at the beginning of your journey or just simply need assistance. Having someone there to hold space for you to feel the emotions, because feeling the emotions is essential in order for the energy to flow throughout your body. And when the energy starts to flow, you're then able to feel greater pleasure in your life as well. Through looking at yourself in the mirror, saying, I am so worthy. I am so worthy of so much pleasure. I am a goddess. I am a queen. And again, if there's resistance, it's okay. Just say, it's going to take some time, but then just receiving that into your body. Having this open heart, receiving the energy into your heart, and welcoming this new sense of you, how you see yourself, will allow for this pleasure to also come through into your life. So it starts with you before maybe interacting with a partner. It starts with your own self-pleasure practice. And speaking your truth is essential when you are interacting with a partner in order for a wall not to be formed. Because when we don't speak our truth, if there is something uncomfortable that comes up and we don't say it afterwards and in a loving way, because this can be challenging, or there's like this abandonment wound that may come through, it's essential. It really is essential to speak up. And I know this very well about abandonment wounds and how difficult it could be to speak up because out of fear of that person leaving. But the greatest abandonment, in my opinion, is the abandonment of the self by not speaking up, by not saying what's on your heart. Your heart closes off. It then closes off your yoni and your ability to receive pleasure from that person. And so it then creates this rift, this wall, and grows with time when things are not spoken up about. So it's essential for the feminine to speak their truth, to allow that inner truth to come through. Because for men, they don't want a tidy woman either. A true man, not a boy, a true man does not want a tidy woman. They want a woman in her emotional expression, but without pointing fingers, but truly expressing from that true feminine expression, saying how you feel. I felt like you didn't care in that moment because of this sort of behavior or action. I understand there are many guys out there that are not in their true mature self, and sometimes it's just best to let them go. And at the same time, you'll find the right man who is in their balanced masculine energy. If you have any questions about this, feel free to comment below. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. That would mean a lot to me, and I will see you very, very soon.